So this is the answer to the question about odds and evens on page 13 of last night. So the question is basically whether 3z squared, whether that is an even integer. So that basically asks you whether z squared, whether that is an even integer. Because odd times even should give even. In other words, the question is whether z is an even integer, because only if z is even, z squared would give an even integer. Okay, now the first piece of information gives you that z divided by 5 is an odd integer. So it tells you that z divided by an odd integer, that is 5, is an odd integer. In other words, z is an odd integer times an odd integer. So that would mean that z is also an odd integer. Therefore, with the first piece of information, we can answer the question by saying definitely no, 3z squared is not an even integer. Therefore, we have sufficient information to answer the question. Now, the second piece of information tells you that 2z is an even integer. But that is not sufficient information to answer the question, because z can be odd, and then 2z gives an even integer. For example, 2 times 3 is 6, which is an even integer. Or z can be even, and then 2 times z also gives an even integer, because, for example, 2 times 2 is 4. So therefore, the second piece of information is not sufficient to answer the question asked. And your answer will be A. Only the first piece of information is sufficient to answer the question asked.